The Strokes' new album Comedown Machine came out this Tuesday, and it's their last with longtime label RCA, which kinda makes me wonder why their logo takes up almost a quarter of the fucking album cover. Now, like most people who went to college to earn their useless arts baccalaureates in the early 2000s, I bought the band's debut album Is This It? And really enjoyed it. But after I heard Reptilia on a Stray Guitar Hero title, I realized the second album was basically going to be second verse same as the first, and I quickly got disinterested in the band. This is the first Strokes album I've listened to since their debut, and judging by what I've heard about First Impressions of Earth, I couldn't have picked a better time to jump off the bandwagon. But Ankles was supposedly pretty good, and seeing as how it was either this or the new One Republic, I decided to see if time has been kind to these modern garage rock pioneers. First impressions, no pun intended, were quite positive, with songs like One Way Trigger and Tap Out showcasing an interesting blend of keyboards and shivering falsetto vocals. This serves as a great change of pace, given that Julian Casablancas' vocal style usually sounds like a cross between Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh and Garfield after waking from a diabetic coma. The album continued to impress with songs like All the Time, sounding familiar enough to remind us of the good old days without sounding like the band hit Control-C, Control-V on the hard-to-explain sheet music, and Welcome to Japan introducing a novel 70s style groove that's eerily reminiscent to the era of disco balls and the Ford Pinto. Overall, I'd say it was very unique and engaging. Until the album comes to a screeching halt 5 songs in with the sort of title track 80s Comedown Machine. And let me tell you, that title is certainly appropriate. It forces the momentum to instantly come down, and the music sounds like the vapors being smashed into an espresso machine. And after that, we get 3 slower tempo songs in a row. What the blistering fuck is this band doing writing slow songs? The Strokes always used to remind me of what the Ramones would have sounded like if they'd been composed of shitty Starbucks baristas. They were at their best when they were loud, crazy, and wild. But hell, even then they weren't exactly the heaviest band in town, so when they decided to take things down a notch in the middle of the album, it felt like someone had ran up behind me and replaced my earbuds with tranquilizer darts mid-song. If I'd wanted to sleep, I would have listened to Explosions in the Sky. I listened to the Strokes so that I can headbang to something while still maintaining a charade of coolness in front of my hipster friends. Not to mention the tone keeps schizophrenically flickering around from song to song. Tracks that sound like they'd fit perfectly well onto the Caddyshack soundtrack are immediately followed by songs that sound like they should be playing over the opening credits to Miami Vice. And at the end there's a particularly creepy sounding tune that sounds like a leftover relic from a 60s lounge act, or perhaps an unused cut from the first BioShock game. Do me a favor, Strokes. Pick one decade to rip off and stick to it, eh? Don't get me wrong, this album isn't all bad. The clean production sounds nice, showing us that the band does possess a good deal of actual talent behind all the original lo-fi aesthetics, and all of the instrumentation sounds as solid as it ever was. It's just that there's not much exciting or interesting going on here. It's 10 minutes of bang that builds up to roughly 30 minutes of whimper. Insert joke about my sex life here. This was the Strokes' chance to remind us, or remind me at least, that we should have been paying attention to them after all these years. All this album reminded me of was all the other bands out there who do the garage rock revival thing much better, and that I could be listening to them instead. Comedown Machine gets 2 apathetic hipsters out of 5.